Normal penis size revealed. Accurate length and girth measurement tips from a urologist. You know, there are certain things we learn to accept as part of life after 60. A few more lines on our face, the pace slowing down just a little, needing to write down things we used to remember by heart. But there are still some topics that seem to carry a bit of quiet curiosity. Things we wonder about but don't always feel comfortable bringing up. And one of those topics, let's be honest, is penis size. Maybe it's something you thought about years ago when you were younger, or maybe it's a thought that's crossed your mind more recently. Standing in front of the mirror, or noticing a difference in the way things feel, there's that little voice asking, is this normal? And the truth is, a lot of men, especially those of us past 60, still wonder about that. Now, I want to start this conversation off by saying, this isn't about comparing yourself to anyone else. It's not about living up to some unrealistic idea from television or old stories. This is about understanding what's healthy, what's average, and most importantly, how to know if your body is sending you a signal about your health. Because yes, size can tell you something. Not everything, but something. In this video, we're going to talk in plain, simple terms about what the normal range is for penis size, how to measure it accurately, and why it might matter more for your well-being than you realized. And don't worry, there's no need for embarrassment here. It's just the two of us having a thoughtful conversation, like old friends catching up over coffee. So let's begin with the question on everyone's mind. What exactly is considered normal when it comes to penis size? Now, a lot of numbers get thrown around in magazines and on the internet, but here's what the research tells us. Studies that have looked at thousands of men from all around the world show that the average erect penis length is about 5.1 inches. That's around 13 centimeters. For girth, or the circumference around the shaft, the average when erect is about 4.6 inches. Now, flaccid size, that's when things aren't in use, varies a lot more. It depends on factors like temperature, stress, or even how hydrated you are. The average flaccid length tends to be around 3.6 inches, and girth comes in around 3.7 inches. But here's the thing. There's a wide, healthy range. Some men naturally fall a little below or above those numbers, and it doesn't mean anything is wrong. What matters is understanding where you are in relation to your own body's natural state, and knowing when something has changed unexpectedly. One thing I hear quite often from older gentlemen is this. I feel like things look smaller than they used to. And that's not just imagination. As we age, certain changes happen in the body. For example, a gradual decrease in testosterone levels can affect not only function, but also size and firmness. Weight gain, particularly around the belly, can also make the penis appear shorter because of the fat pad that builds up in the lower abdomen. The actual size may not have changed at all. It just looks different because of what's happening around it. And you know, when I share that with men, there's often this moment of relief. It's like, so it's not just me. No, it's definitely not just you. These are natural changes that come with time, just like needing reading glasses or feeling stiff when you get out of bed in the morning. Now, when it comes to measuring yourself accurately, there's a right way to do it, and a lot of wrong ways that can leave you feeling either confused or discouraged. Let's start with length. The most reliable method is to measure from the pubic bone to the tip of the glans, or the head of the penis. And here's the key. Press the ruler gently into the fat pad at the base. That ensures you're measuring from the true starting point. You want to do this when the penis is fully erect if you're checking for your erect length, but be careful, not overly forcing things or straining. This isn't a race, it's simply gathering information about your body. Now for girth, it's even easier. Take a piece of string or a flexible tape measure, wrap it around the thickest part of the shaft when erect, and then note the length. If you're using string, you can lay it flat afterward and measure it with a regular ruler. It's as simple as that. And if you're thinking, well, I haven't measured myself in decades, that's perfectly okay. There's no deadline or rush here. It's just about knowing your own numbers, like knowing your weight or blood pressure. Having that awareness can be especially helpful if you notice changes later on down the road. Something else I always like to share, because it's easy to forget, is that size measurements don't predict things like satisfaction or function. Whether it's intimacy with a partner or simply feeling good about yourself, Those experiences are about much more than a number on a ruler. Still, knowing your size and understanding what's typical can help take away some of the mystery and make you feel more grounded in your own body. There's a quiet kind of confidence that comes with that knowledge, like knowing your way around your own home even when the lights are off. You don't have to guess. You already know. And remember, any sudden or unusual changes in size, like a rapid decrease or swelling that doesn't go away, are reasons to talk with your doctor. Most of the time, these things are just part of natural aging, but sometimes they can be linked to medical issues like Peyronie's disease, which causes curvature and size changes, or hormonal shifts that could benefit from treatment. The important thing is not to ignore your own instincts. If something feels different or looks off, don't brush it aside. You've lived long enough to know when something deserves attention. Trust that wisdom. Now that we've talked through what's considered normal size and how to measure yourself accurately, let's keep this conversation going and dive deeper into how your body's changes relate to your health and what you can do to maintain good function as the years roll on. Now that we've cleared up what's considered normal and how to measure things the right way, let's shift our focus toward why this matters for your health, especially as you grow older. You see, for many men, the conversation around penis size feels like something that belongs to younger years, but the truth is, changes in size and shape can often give us clues about our overall health. One of the first things that can impact both the appearance and actual measurements is weight gain, particularly the kind that creeps up quietly over the years. A lot of us have noticed it, a little extra softness around the belly that wasn't there before. And while it might just seem like a harmless cushion, that abdominal fat can have a sneaky effect. It builds up right around the base of the penis, creating what's sometimes called the pubic fat pad. What this does is visually shorten the penis, making it appear smaller, even though the actual length hasn't changed. I once spoke with a man in his 70s who mentioned he thought he was shrinking down there. But after a bit of conversation, it turned out he'd gained about 20 pounds over the last decade. Once he became more mindful about his eating habits and took daily walks, he started shedding some of that weight. And wouldn't you know it? Things looked more like they used to. It wasn't magic. It was simply understanding how one part of the body affects another. Now, another thing worth talking about is something called Peyronie's disease. It's more common than folks realize, especially in men over 60. This condition involves the development of fibrous scar tissue inside the penis, which can cause it to bend or curve during erections. It can also result in a noticeable decrease in size. You might feel it as a hard lump or ridge under the skin. And while it's not usually dangerous in itself, it can definitely affect both confidence and comfort. If you notice a curve where there wasn't one before or feel that lump I mentioned, it's definitely worth bringing up with your doctor. There are treatments that can help, including medication and special exercises or devices designed to stretch and straighten things back out. Again, it's all about staying informed and not ignoring the signals your body sends. Speaking of signals, let's not forget about the role hormones play. Testosterone levels naturally decline as we age, but sometimes they dip lower than they should. This can lead to smaller, softer erections, and even a general decrease in size over time. But the effects go beyond just appearance. Low testosterone can cause fatigue, mood changes, loss of muscle mass, and weaker bones. One gentleman shared with me that he was feeling unusually tired all the time, like even getting up to make breakfast felt like too much. He'd written it off as just getting older. But after a simple blood test, his doctor found that his testosterone was quite low. With a little medical help and some lifestyle adjustments, he felt more like himself again. Clearer mind, more energy, and yes, better function where it counts. Now, a lot of men shy away from having their testosterone levels checked because they think it's somehow admitting defeat. But really, it's no different than checking your cholesterol or your blood pressure. It's simply part of looking after yourself as a whole person. And while we're on the subject of looking after yourself, let's touch on circulation. Good blood flow is crucial for penis health. Think about it. Erections depend on blood filling the tissue, so if there's a problem with your circulation, that can affect size, firmness, and how things feel in general. I want to be clear though. Size changes don't always mean there's a serious health issue. Sometimes it's just part of getting older. Skin loses elasticity, muscles relax a bit, and everything settles in its own way. That's perfectly natural. But keeping an eye on these changes helps you notice when something might be out of the ordinary. Another thing that often gets overlooked is hydration. Staying well hydrated helps keep all the tissues in your body healthy and functioning properly, including those down there. If you're not drinking enough water throughout the day, it can actually affect the firmness and fullness of your erections. Conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or hardening of the arteries can all impact circulation. Sometimes the first sign a man notices isn't chest pain or numb feet. It's changes in erections or size. It's the body's quiet way of waving a little flag, saying, "Hey, something's not quite right." And the good news is, there are things you can do to improve circulation at any age. Simple habits like walking regularly, eating foods rich in healthy fats like salmon and nuts, and staying hydrated can make a real difference. I often say, walking 30 minutes a day can be one of the best things you do for yourself. Not just for your heart, but for your overall vitality. You'd be surprised how many men feel an improvement in both comfort and confidence just from upping their water intake and paying a little more attention to nutrition. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Small, steady changes can lead to big benefits. And as we keep exploring this topic together, I hope you're noticing a common thread: awareness. It's about knowing your own body, listening to it without judgment or embarrassment, and taking those small steps to stay healthy and strong for as long as possible. So far, we've talked about how factors like weight, hormones, and circulation can affect penis size and health. But there's still more ground to cover when it comes to maintaining good function, preventing unnecessary worry, and knowing when it's time to reach out to your healthcare provider for a little extra guidance. Now, as we carry on this conversation about penis size, health, and how it all fits together as we age, I want to pause for just a moment and remind you of something important. At this stage of life, it's easy to feel like there's a lot we just have to accept. Maybe your knees don't move like they used to, or you find yourself looking for your glasses more often than you'd like. But one thing that doesn't have to change is your ability to care for yourself and stay proactive. That includes paying attention to what your body is quietly telling you, even when it comes to something as personal as penis size. There's no shame in looking after all parts of yourself. In fact, I'd say it's a sign of real self-respect, just like checking in on your car before a long road trip, making sure everything under the hood is in working order. And when it comes to your body, knowing what's normal for you is the best way to notice when something might be out of place. One habit I always recommend to men in their 60s and beyond is simple self-checks. Not just measurements like we talked about earlier, though those are useful, but just noticing. Are there any changes in shape, color, or firmness? Do things feel different when you're at rest or during intimacy? Those little moments of observation can help you spot early signs of conditions like Peyronie's disease, or even more serious issues like cancer. Now, it's important to remember that testicular or penile cancer is rare, especially at this age. But it does happen, and early detection makes all the difference. The key is regular gentle self-checks, maybe once a month, just as you'd check your skin for new moles or marks. Another point to keep in mind is medication. Many men take medications for conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or depression, and some of these medicines can impact your testosterone levels or affect blood flow, which in turn can change both function and appearance down there. It's worth reviewing your medications with your doctor now and then, especially if you've noticed changes in size or firmness that seem to happen suddenly or without explanation. One gentleman I know had been on blood pressure medication for years without a second thought. But after switching to a different kind on his doctor's advice, he noticed a real difference. Not just in how he felt generally, but in how things looked and worked down below. It's amazing how interconnected everything in the body really is. Now, when it comes to visiting the urologist, a lot of men hesitate. Maybe it's nerves, maybe it's pride, maybe it's just the hassle of setting up the appointment. But the truth is, a quick chat with a urologist can clear up questions you've been carrying around for years. They can do a physical exam, check hormone levels, and even offer advice on things like penile health exercises or treatments that might not be as well known. One thing I often hear from men after their first visit is, "I wish I'd done this sooner." It's that sense of relief that comes from finally getting answers and realizing that most of the worries we carry around in our heads turn out to be smaller than we thought. No pun intended. And if you're wondering whether things like pills or supplements can really make a difference, here's what I'd say. Be cautious. There are a lot of products out there that promise size increases or miracle results, but many of them are either ineffective or downright unsafe. The best path is always to focus on overall health, eating well, staying active, managing stress, and checking in with your healthcare provider. These are the things that make the real difference, not a bottle of unproven pills. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with a thought that's a little bigger than just measurements or health tips. Growing older doesn't mean shrinking into the background. It doesn't mean giving up on feeling good in your own skin. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, you deserve to feel confident, informed, and comfortable in your body. There's something really powerful about taking the time to understand yourself, whether it's your blood pressure, your weight, or yes, your penis size. It's not about comparison. It's not about trying to be 20 again. It's about knowing your body so well that you can spot when something needs a little extra care and doing it without hesitation. So, if you found this conversation helpful or it's opened up some thoughts you hadn't considered before, I'd really love for you to share your experience in the comments below. What's something you've learned about your health as you've gotten older that surprised you? Or what advice would you pass along to other men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond? And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We have more real, straightforward conversations like this one. No nonsense, no judgment. Just honest talk about how to keep living well as we age. Here's to staying curious, staying proactive, and staying kind to ourselves as the years roll on. You've come this far with wisdom and experience. Now it's just about carrying that same care into every part of life, even the parts we don't always talk about openly. Until next time, take good care of yourself and keep moving forward with confidence.